Hello and welcome to today's episode of pianoTV. I am Allysia, your host, and today we're just being casual, just sitting down, being casual. I wanted to talk to you guys about the next event that's around the bend. So as I did a video of on Saturday and in the past as well, we recently did 30 days of piano, and that ran for every single day in September. It was like this live lesson event thing, and it went really, really well. It was lots of fun. And ever since that, I've had people kind of ask me like, what's next? What's new on the horizon? So I thought what would be really fun would be to do almost like a continuation of that, but for just a 6-week time span between now and Christmas time. I find that Christmas time makes a really good cutoff point. And I didn't want to do anything too heavy. The 30 days of piano has a ton of material, and it has more than enough to keep most people busy. So I didn't want to do another really intense course or anything like that. Not yet. So I thought it would be nice to do a really short, simple, but hopefully effective course. That's why this one's going to be 6 weeks long. I don't have a very creative title for it, I'm afraid. I'm just calling it the 6-week mini course, because it is going to be the main purpose of this course. There's going to be a couple components to it, but the main purpose of it is to learn a stretch piece. Now, what I mean by that is a piece that is above your level, but still achievable. So if you're playing grade 1 level stuff, then this would be a stretch piece for you. It's sitting around I would consider this to be a 3 or 4 level piece. This is a piece, and it is a specific piece. I'll tell you in a moment. The specific piece we're working on is one that I've taught to a whole ton of adult students, and I've even taught it to teenagers and stuff too. Generally, after a year or two, many people can approach this piece. It sounds a lot more complicated than it is. Now, it still has a couple difficult parts, but I feel like if we spend 6 weeks really going through it, breaking it down like I have in my studio lessons with my in-person students, I'm kind of this one's kind of one of my tried and tested ones. I've had some good success with this one. So I thought this would be a great stretch piece to try if you're in that kind of beginnerish zone, which a lot of the people participating in the 30 days of piano class are. A lot of them are kind of in that grade 1 to 2 level zone. For those of you who are, and I'll tell you what the piece is in a minute, but for those of you who are way more on the beginner side, this is probably going to be too much for you. And for those of you who have been playing who feel pretty comfortable with intermediate level repertoire, this might be too easy for you. So, but you'll get a sense of that when we talk about the main piece we're learning, and then the couple other orbital pieces we're going to look at too. So the piece is Comptine du Notre l'après-midi. That's the best I can do. Something about a nursery rhyme and on a summer afternoon. I would love for someone who's a native French speaker to tell me what the exact specific non-Google translated version is. Smooth Rider. This is the piece that I usually start my adult students with when we're getting into some more complex music, but still want something doable. It's beautiful. I highly recommend going to check it out. If this sounds like the kind of piece you'd want to learn how to do, then this will be a course that you want to participate in. So we're going to go through it pretty much from the bottoms up. I am going to assume that you're coming into this with a preliminary understanding of music. The things that I would expect you to know are pretty much all the same things that I expect you to know joining the 30 days of piano course, which is a basic understanding of how to read notes, of how to read rhythms. We will work on rhythms and stuff a little bit, and we also, for those of you who have done a course with me before, you know that I get into all the analytical side of things. We get really into chords and music theory and stuff like that, and that will be true of this course as well. I always like to get into the analytical side of things, because when you understand music, it's easier to do things like memorize and stuff. And that is going to be one of the goals of this 6-week project, not only to learn this piece and to be able to play it, but also to memorize it. In addition to this being our main piece that we're working on, we're also going to learn a couple other pieces as orbital, sorry, I don't know why I'm getting into planetary comparisons, but if our main Comptine is the Earth, then we'll have 2 moons hovering around it. And those pieces we're mainly going to be using as a melody study. We're going to be learning how to create beautiful melodies, but also to be able to learn how to play them more effectively, especially using our ear. So for those of you who want to get a little bit more into like ear development and stuff, we are going to be focusing on that a little bit. But one component that I wanted to bring into this course with learning this main piece and then a couple extra supplemental ones is I wanted to bring in the 4 main important elements of learning that apply to music. So the 4 would be analytical. I've already kind of touched on that. That's understanding what you're playing. Visual. So this would be like sight reading, how well how well you read, but also like the visual aspect of playing on the keyboard. And then oral, which like listening, oral, AURAL, ear exercises and things like that. And then the 4th component of piano playing, which should be fairly obvious, is tactile, the actual physical movements of it. So as I've been developing this course, I've been thinking about these 4 aspects of learning and how we can balance our approach in those 6 weeks so that every week we're doing something involving all of those areas of learning. We're not just focusing on sight reading. We're not just focusing on analyzing. We're bringing in a blend of all of those 4 aspects of learning. And that's the primary goal. So, okay, let's talk about how this is actually going to work, because I've kind of talked about what the course is going to be, what you can expect from it, what we're going to be working on learning, but what's logistically, how are we going to do this? So, as I mentioned, it's a 6-week course. And what I think, one of the main complaints with the 30 days of piano when we did it live was that it was like too much too fast. Like people had to, you had to do a lot of practicing and to like stay tuned for each one of the every 30 days. It was a lot. So I wanted to try a short course where we slow down the pacing. And how we're going to do this is every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Saskatchewan time. I believe with the time change, it's the same as Central Standard Time. We are going to, so Wednesdays at 6 p.m., just like with the 30 days of piano, I'm going to keep it at 6 p.m. We're going to have a lesson, and it's going to be like a 30-minute lesson where probably more like 40 minutes if it's anything like last time, where we focus on like the core material, I teach everything, etc. But in addition to that, in addition to a weekly lesson on Wednesdays, I want to do a weekend lesson during the daytime. And the reason for this is twofold. So the first reason is I think it would be really valuable to have a Q&A session, and that's what the weekend session is going to be. So that can be the kind of thing where if you're watching live, you can type questions. But one thing I really also want to try, and this will be a little bit experimental, and it's dependent on those of you who participate, is I want you guys to record a practice session, or if you have a question, to record a little bit of your playing, so that on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, so Saskatchewan time, I have a video that I can share with everyone. So you have to be a brave soul for that, but we're all friends. A video that you share with everyone of your practice. Now, all you would have to do is record it and send it to me. You can upload it to YouTube. You can also just like send me the link if you have it on Dropbox or whatever. And then I'll share the video, and then I can kind of like live teach a little bit. I can use your playing, and it's almost like the closest we can get to having in-person piano lessons while working with a group, because I can find things about your performance to share with other people, maybe things you're doing really well, things that you can work on. And I think that would bring in a level of interactivity that was missing from the 30 days of piano. I think that'll be really fun. And then the Wednesday to Saturday schedule gives you a few days to practice and digest some of the things we were talking about in the lesson. Or if you're unable to attend the lessons live, you can have a few days to catch up before the Q&A session. Now, I am planning the lessons and Q&A sessions to be half an hour each, but I do want to keep that a little bit flexible. I don't want to be too rigid to that. I want to, if we're having a really good Q&A session and it's a busy week, we could go an hour. But if we're also having like, I don't know, maybe there's only like 1 or 2 questions, it's hard to stretch that out. So I do want to leave the Q&A sessions flexible, but the more you guys are willing to participate, the more lively those sessions will be. And the other reason that I wanted to do 2 different times, so the Wednesday evening and the Saturday morning, is the Saturday morning time will be a more convenient time for the most amount of people. I realize that the Australians are getting the short end of the stick there, but it helps out our European viewers because they'll be able to participate as well. And for those of us who do like the 9 to 5 thing, the Saturday morning, I'm hoping will be okay for us North American viewers as well. So, and I wanted the most amount of people to be able to participate in the Q&A, because even if you don't get to the lesson live, you can still watch it on your own time, because all of these lessons are going to be recorded, and then once you join the 6-week course, you can access the recordings at any time you want. You can watch them in the middle of the night, you can watch them 2 years from now, and they'll still be there. And that's a really important feature that I want to emphasize. Even though they are going to be live lessons twice a week for 6 weeks, they will be recorded. So you will be able to access them if you're going to miss a lesson or whatever. Now, I believe let me think about the dates here. The 14th of November is a Wednesday, and that will be our start date. And then we will go until the Saturday of the week before Christmas, which I believe is December 22nd. And I will have all of the information you can click on below, where pretty much everything I'm saying, you'll see it written out as well. But I just wanted to kind of talk through this with you as well. Now, one thing that I want to emphasize too is this course is going to be able to stand on its own. It will be really useful if you have the 30 Days of Piano behind you. And I know some of you who are going to be joining are from the original 30 Days of Piano group. And that's going to be, we are going to touch on some similar things and expand on some of those concepts. So it will benefit you to have already done the 30 Days of Piano. But I also wanted this to be like, if you're not sure about the whole online courses thing and you just want to try an easy, let's learn a piece together. If you want to just start small, you don't need to have gone through that course. And you might find that after spending 6 weeks learning this piece, you want to get even deeper into some of the stuff. So that's when maybe you can take a look at the 30 Days of Piano course afterwards. But I do want to say, you don't need to have one to do the other. You can, if you're just kind of curious and you want to learn a piece before Christmas, you can maybe show off to your friends or your relatives. Then you can join this without having had the prior course before it. I would recommend it, but it totally isn't necessary. So the price that I've landed on for this is roughly half of what the 30 Days of Piano is. So we're going to be charging $49 for this course. And it's going to be, I'm going to assume it's going to be about half the length of the 30 Days of Piano when all is said and done. Probably 6 to 8 hours of content and material, which is more or less how I landed on that figure. If it's going to be roughly half the content. So for $49, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get 6 to 8 hours of content. I'm going to assume it's going to lean on the longer side just because I tend to talk more rather than talk less. And I have a feeling the videos will probably go longer. You're going to get PDFs of all of the files. So you're going to have all of the sheet music that we're going to be working on available to you. It's all been transcribed by me. And you'll also have lesson plans. So I with the 30 Days of Piano, I posted them a day in advance. I think what I'm going to do with the lesson plans for this is post them all right at the start. So that way you know what to expect for every lesson. And I might tweak them as we go, but I think it's going to be a pretty set lesson plan. So you'll have that as well in a PDF format. You'll be able to not only view the videos whenever you want, but you'll also be able to download them if that's something that you like to do. I will make the audio available as well to download if you want to listen to it podcast style. And another thing that's really fun with our live recordings is there's a chat in Zoom. So Zoom is the platform that we use for this. And you can read more about that in the details below when you click the link. But one cool thing about Zoom is that it has a chat function. So while the video's airing, while I'm talking to you guys live, you have the ability to chat with each other and share things and ideas. And sometimes I field questions to you guys and see if you guys are paying attention. You're there to answer questions. But the cool thing about that is it gets saved. So I'll also be sharing the chat transcripts for you guys to look at whenever you want. And I think that that adds a little bit of interactivity, especially for those who aren't able to join live. I just think it's like a fun little thing. And sometimes people share really interesting resources and ideas and just things that I would never think about. So they can be a really valuable thing to look at as well. And then in addition to that, I think the Q&A session could end up being really, really fun. And you can get more of an almost private one-on-one type of type of situation with me, even though we're not having one-on-one lessons. So if you're comfortable sharing your progress with a group and you're comfortable with me talking about your performance, sharing it in front of other people, then I think that could be a really, like if you don't have a piano teacher, you feel like you really want supplemental help, that could be a really good way to get that. Now, I have no idea what to expect with this, so it could be a situation where maybe there's only 1 or 2 of you who are brave enough to send footage of your practice. But it could be a situation where there's several dozen of you and I have to kind of curate who I'm sharing. I can't predict that in advance, so I don't know how in demand that aspect of things will be. But what I do know is that it will be valuable for people to watch. Even if you never in a million years would want to share a video of yourself playing with multiple people. And I know there's some of you like that. You should still get value seeing critique and analysis of other people's playing as well. I think this is the part of the course that I'm the most excited about. I think it can be the most fun. Logistically, we'll have to work around it a little bit, but I do have a capability to screen share on my computer when we're live. So as long as we can get the audio and stuff hooked up, I think that'll be a really, really fun thing to do. So if this course sounds like something that you want to participate in, if you want to, dip your toes in the water, or, this is I know a lot of people who specifically want to learn this piece too. That's another reason, like I've taught it a bunch of times, and it's also a piece that people approach me about too. So I think it's such a great piece to stretch yourself with if you're kind of at that like grade 1 to 2 level and you want something fancy that you can impress all your friends with. And again, there's a couple other pieces that we're going to be using as well, and the level of depth that you learn those ones in just depends on what level of piano playing you're at and your ability to, like, how much time you have to practice. When I was working out the lesson plans, to get the most out of this, you'll want to be able to commit 2 to 3 hours a week, which is going to translate to about half an hour a day. So that is something to keep in mind. Not every single day, but like 5 to 6 days a week. That is the level of commitment that I would expect of my own students. If you're on the side of only being able to do like 1 to 2 hours a week, you might just find that you don't end up with like a perfectly polished end result without like a few extra weeks. But that is the expectation going in. That would be your commitment to learning. But I think I've rambled on long enough. This is turning into a long video. If you want to join, you can find all of the information in the description bar. I am going to have this, I think I'm going to leave this course open too. And this is going to be another difference from the 30 Days of Piano. With the 30 Days of Piano, once September hit, I closed registration. So it was just one group of people who all signed up at the same time to go through it. What I think we're going to do with this one is, if you're not sure, you're kind of on the fence, or maybe like a couple weeks down the road, you decide you want to try it, it will still be open for you to join, and you can catch up on the videos even if you're a little bit behind. I'm not going to close registration for this one. I don't think. Don't quote me on that, but that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. That being said, we are going to be starting in almost exactly a week from now. So if you do join, I would recommend doing it probably in the next 5 days, because that'll give you time to look through the lesson plans, get your materials, make sure you're all kind of like mentally prepped and everything too. But without further ado, I'll catch you in the next video. We'll be back to our regular scheduled programming in the next one. Bye, guys. The piece is Comptine d'une autre été. I apologize for my French. I should actually look up what that means in English.